And another episode of Booze Your Daddy, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alan Snyder, here with my boy. He'll tip an Uber driver 5 stars, even if he drives him off a cliff, Zack Elias.
Absolutely. I did something wrong to one of them. My rating tanked, so we're working our way up slowly.
Booze Your Daddy, the podcast. Tuesdays, we do it live. We post it later on Saturdays. We got a fun one, and we did another audience participation, episode 85, Best Comedians Ever. We're counting down our top 10 and your top 10 today. How you doing, Zach?
I'm good. Are we counting down? Yeah, we are counting them down. Counting up,
Same way we do it every time.
It's like back ping-ponging it back and forth. It's got to be a name for it.
Pretty much, but before we do that, I'm thirsty, you're thirsty, what you drinking?
I forgot, but here they are again. I forgot from last week, but they are the Victory Summer Lovin'. They're okay. They're like beach water. It's good.
Could you say Summer Lovin' had me a blast?
No.
Do you know the next line?
Yes. Tell me what did you have a nice car? That's the best one. It means nothing.
All right.
No,
well,
actually, that song should be canceled. Tell me more. Did she put up a fight? Like, easy, big fella.
Oh, yeah,
There's a lot of canceled lines in that song.
That song is a gold. It's a gold digger and a date raper. Is two people went on a date, basically.
Oh, the golden age.
All right. Well, Zach, what
are you drinking? Go on.
I got something special for today.
Is that a Kraken shirt? Like, what do you got there?
This is the Purple Power softball shirt. I'm
Even
going.
Better.
Yeah, I'm going to the game tomorrow, so I figure I'd just put it on. Right now, my t-shirt cycle is like a 2 to 3 day thing, depending on
whatever you sleep in is what you just roll with through the whole day?
Until I get really sweaty, the next time I get really sweaty.
Gross.
It could be the next morning. It could be 3 days later. I mean, living that good life here. So I am conceding defeat from last night from the home run contest. I know that you were rooting for Pete Alonso and pro-cancer when I was Trey Mancini and anti-cancer. But I found a great beer at the store just to kind of give it one to you. It is called Shea. And that is because that's a stadium that Pete Alonso will never hit any home runs in.
I love Shea. Big Blue was great.
I didn't read.
What is the Shea beer?
So I didn't read this. It is Shea. It says Cool Ale, Coul Ale, the Royal Edition, ale with orange peel added. Wait for it. And then here's where it gets crazy. She's here, she's queer, and this is her year. Goose Island Beer Company.
What?
I'm not kidding you. It says it in the letters. I had no idea. Can you see that?
Yeah, enjoy. Really taking Pride Week far.
Release the Kraken.
Yeah, go nuts. Good God, man.
All right. Well, we are counting them down. We've done a couple of these before, so you know how it goes. Zach, start off with your honorable mentions of, we're going with and you'll explain, but more or less, I went with comedians that make me laugh the hardest.
Yeah, I went with that too, but mine ended up just being an all-star game. And I like my list, but I didn't really go deep catalog, but I'm not, as you say, balls deep. I guess I'm balls shallow in this, just the tip or whatever. So my honorable mentions, you're going to go nuts because I'm giving 4, but I prefaced 4 earlier. I just said, eat it, dick, I'm giving you 4. So here, because it's not really stand-up, but it makes me laugh, Adam Sandler, when he does music, I had one of those albums, and they were hysterical. But I'm not really sure that's stand-up comedy. That's more just like,
he started in stand-up, and it wasn't terrible.
It was okay, but his music is unbelievably funny.
Those albums, you went to Sleepaway Camp the same time I did. Yeah. I can anyone
Gold.
You want. Yeah.
The goat killed me.
So I preferred, the one before that, but yes, Stan and Judy's Kid was so good. Mm-hmm. I bought the next one that came out after that years later, like opening when it dropped. That was the one with the Lonesome Kicker. It was terrible.
No, it's amazing. It's all amazing.
Anyway, so Sandler, right. Keep going with your honorables.
All right. I liked Sarah Silverman. I thought I saw her at Carnegie Hall with Jenna. She was fine, but her opening act, Doug Benson, blew her away.
He's a big pothead, that guy.
Yeah, no kidding. And he was funny as all hell. So you can't I'm dropping her down because you can't get mowed down by your opener. He should be in my top 5, but I just can't. So I put Louis C.K. as an honorable mention because I just can't. I mean,
because all of our listeners are going to really give it to you.
No, because I'd give it to myself. Even on his comeback tour, he made a Parkland joke. He's just not getting it.
There's a reason for that, but I didn't put him on my list for one reason. I've watched his specials. It's like 58 minutes of nothing, and then one zinger. He has one zinger that usually saves the whole special. That's so good.
His stuff about his kids is incredible, especially as a parent. He's so spot on. When you're walking with your kid and she's like a mile behind, you know, I pay attention. It's gold. And I put Eddie Murphy in my honorable mentions because he should have been on my list, but I just didn't, and I just sort of swung and missed on that one. But
fair enough. Just real quick about Doug Benson, back when forever ago, he did his own documentary called Super High Me, where he gets really, really high on marijuana 30 straight days. It was like a mockumentary of Super Size Me. Mm-hmm. It's watchable.
I'm sure he's good. And I made a note to myself to listen to Joan Rivers because I'm sure she's genius, and I forgot to do that. So I don't really know enough of her stuff to put her on your list.
All right. My honorable mentions, I think you're only going to know one of them. So let's just start with
deep.
Somebody who gets a lot of grief for not being that funny back in the day and certainly took a nosedive.
Gallagher.
I remember listening to Dane Cook and dying back in the day. Just, he's the original person who called somebody Karen. Like I don't know if you know, he's one where he's like, okay, Karen, we know. Like that is from forever ago. But I remember listening to him in the car when he does his Price is Right bit, when he does his Monopoly bit, when he does the there's an accident and everybody comes out and you just repeat, I was in my kitchen, she was doing this. I remember laughing very hard. I thought Dane Cook was good, but I do remember watching some of those and going like, not so great. The next one is a guy, he got his own show on Comedy Central. Dimitri Martin. Do you remember him?
Yes.
He drew and he did everything. He was the original hot crazy scale person that How I Met Your Mother stole from, except he said it was how hot you are versus how much I want to hear about your cat, it was gold. But he had a joke I remember sitting around with some people one time listening to, and it was so subtle, but he said, I saw an amputee being hung, and all I did was started guessing letters. And I lost it, Zach. I remember in a room.
Pretty good.
that is one of, and I remember my friends being like, I don't really see it. I'm like, oh my God, that's
unbelievable.
That was his joke. That killed me. And then my other one is a guy that I had to look up. Apparently he went nowhere. But when Comedy Central Presents used to do their little 30-minute whatevers, and then they'd always do these like countdowns when they had no material back in the day. There was this guy, big Italian guy. His name was Rocky Laporte. And he had one shtick, which is why he never went anywhere. But it's a half hour where it's the whole, I had this uncle and he had a vacuum store and it was called, hey, suck this. And then he would go on and it was like, and I had a hardware store and it was, hey, hit this. And I just remember the first time I saw it, I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe that half hour.
Our list is going to be like the Harlem Globetrotters and the Washington Generals. No one's going to ever have heard of your guys.
You definitely will have. Zach, get us started with your number 10.
Lisa Lampanelli. I find her to be very funny. She does it for me. I saw her before she was famous, and then she blew up. And how many women are on your list? Exactly. So she just, I don't know. She makes me laugh. I've seen her a few times live, and she's old and talks about, talking black guys, but it gets me. It works.
I don't know if we talked about her on air last week, but we talked that I just watched that documentary where she's unrecognizable right now.
Yeah, you told me.
Short hair, white, she's doing like piecework or something, or she's completely off the hooch.
Off the hooch.
And by hooch, I mean the BBC.
British Broadcasting Company.
My number 10, I think he's a genius, except I can only do maybe 10 to 15 minutes, is Jeselnik. I think he's very funny. He's very dark. But it's just, you just always see the joke coming in the way that whatever you think it's going to happen, it's just the complete opposite. His roasts are great. He had a show that was really funny back in the day.
Very good.
I like Jeselnik a lot.
And I like roasts. All right. My number 9, I think he should be higher. Bill Burr kills me. I like angry comedians. He does it for me. He's funny. He's pasty and he was good on Crashing. It's just good. I'm into it.
Bill Burr is my North Carolina. I have Burr number 3 because, and you'll hear with some of my other people, I can just listen to him talk and he's hysterical. He's hysterical.
His stories are good. He's got good cadence. He's good at all of it.
I mean, he swings from the hip. He says what he wants to say. His delivery is great. His podcast is just him ranting, which I couldn't quite get into, but he kills me. Yeah, anytime he's on anything. Love Bill Burr. He's one of those, if he had a special come out or if he was coming around, like I would make sure I saw him.
No, we got to go. If he comes around, we'll go. Make a date of it. We'll do this shit live.
So you tried to call me out because you said, oh, how many women are you going to have? Now, before I defend my lack of women on my list, here's, it came out recently. There was a whole movement on TikTok about men stop saying, Joe Rogan says. And people are saying nothing that Rogan says is wrong. It's just he's our male's Oprah. Back in the day, women used to watch a lot of Oprah and they would quote what she say. And essentially, Rogan's great. It's just 90% of what he's saying is meant for a male audience. I think most female comics are meant for women. And for me to put a woman on my list, there is one woman who I've seen her special, and anytime she's on anything, I think she's really funny. Fortune Feimster. Do you know who she is?
No.
She's done a bunch of spots on like the Mindy Project. She was on that documentary I told you about. She has her own hour on Netflix, which is very watchable. She's not the most attractive. She's openly gay. And she just talks about funny stories that happen that's not sex, which I can't listen to from a male or a woman. But fortunately, like she talks about when I was sad, my mom would take me to Hooters to cheer me up because she knew that was always like, that's funny to me.
That's cute.
So definitely check out her hour. She's good.
All right. I'll check it out. My 8, Chappelle. He probably should be higher, I think. I don't know, but I don't know who I bumped down because they all get pretty good after that. No good? Is he your 1?
Chappelle is equally, I have Chappelle at number 2. Okay. And you're an idiot for not having him higher.
He should be higher.
Dave Chappelle. There's only 2 people that are legends of our generation as far as jokes, writing, stances. Dave Chappelle, I will say some of his latest stuff I didn't love. He's getting very political.
It's all preachy. That's exactly why I bumped him down. He's getting preachy.
It is. But his hour, Killing Him Softly, is my favorite hour that I can text any friend, any line right now, and they'll give me the next 4.
I bumped him just because he's preachy recently.
He has been, and I saw him live, and it wasn't great. But Chappelle's show, and
the show is different than stand-up.
I know, but he is also one of those people where he's funny. His jokes are good. Dave Chappelle's my number 2. He is mine. He was my number 2 just because that one, he had like 2 really, really, really good hours. But the Killing Him Softly, take it easy.
He's great.
You're on Thursday.
He killed Half-Baked. I mean, he's good in everything.
Oh my God. So good.
All right, go on.
Well, I'm sure I'm going to knock off one of your guys. My number 8's Rodney. I think Rodney is so funny. I don't know if I can do any of his jokes, but I can do.
They're all amazing. They're all amazing.
I've watched him, like, just sat around and watched YouTube of him on Carson. It's the same shtick. People wish there will never be another Rodney.
He was the best. My wife and I said we'd only smoke after sex. I'm still on the same pack. She used to have the 2 packs a day. I mean, it's amazing. Stuff like that's incredible.
He's great. I went to the doctor. He said, you're gonna die. I asked for a second opinion. He said, you're ugly.
Amazing.
He was amazing. He peaked late in life. Rodney is my number 8.
He's my 3. His kind of like cadence, his quick hits, one-liners. I don't have the patience to listen to, a story from Dane Cook. Rodney gets you there in 2 seconds. Quick and dirty.
No, he's very good with that. Number 7 for you.
For me, I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know if he's funny. He was funny for me and very timely. Andrew Dice Clay absolutely killed me. He's all right now, but like when he was big, I was probably 2 years too young. So everything he said was a riot. It was roarous, and he would sell out the Garden. That's the only person I can listen to talk about sex for an hour because he doesn't actually say the word sex. He just like does nursery rhymes and nonsense. And he's a fat Jew who's acting Italian. It's just gold. All of it killed me.
It's weird that Andrew Silverstein turned into this character, but back in the day, there was no such thing as comedians selling out arenas. I mean, that is incredible. Hickory dickory dock. I mean, it's so good.
Amazing. It's just amazing. And like, I had never heard a dirty comedian like that before, and I was probably 7 or 8, and this was like one of my intros into comedy. Oh. Amazing.
Yeah, that was probably Sandler for me. That was the at a medium pace, all that.
Bad parents letting me watch Dice. What are they doing?
My number 7 is somebody that's gotten really more popular recently. He's somebody who he's a part of the like new kind of upcoming comics, except he's there.
He's not on my list.
Bert Kreischer. Do you know who he is?
No.
So Bert Kreischer is.
Sounds like he's selling insurance. Bert Kreischer.
He is. So the Van Wilder, the movie, is based off of his life story. Like he sold the rights to him, and they made that movie.
Really?
He's famous for he has this 15-minute story / bit that's not laugh out loud funny, but it's entertaining. It's called The Machine. It's when he went to Russia and he ends up joining a gang and they hijack a train. But specifically, I'm putting him on my list. He's annoying to some people because he laughs at all of his own jokes, but his laugh is one of those infectious laughs where he just starts crying, laughing. I watched his special that came out last year during the quarantine twice. It's called Hey Big Boy, and he just goes off on his kids. And I remember watching it the second time with Julia with the jokes coming and crying multiple times during it, which that's probably the hardest I've laughed in a really long time. Bert Kreischer, the only thing that kind of bothers me, he's a really fat guy. His shtick is taking his shirt off the second he gets on stage. So you'll know if you come across a clip, because your phone's listening to us right now. And it's like, it's this fat comedian. Bert Kreischer, Bert, hysterical.
All right. What are we up to?
6.
I probably should have swapped these two. I don't know. I think Chris Rock just kills me. I've seen him once live. I've seen all this stuff. He does it. I don't know. He's funny. He's smart. Keep your daughter off the pole. I've got a daughter, and it's like my Bible. It's all gold. Clear heels. His voice is funny. I saw him like at a movie theater a few years ago. He's like 5'4", 112 pounds. He's nothing. Very funny guy. I just like the way he delivers jokes. His cadence, his presentation is very good. Works for me.
It's weird that his brother Tony Rock also does comedy and sounds like similar but not as good. Chris Rock was my first one to not make my list, even honorable mentions. That being said, every time I go to a supermarket and grab a cart that's not working quite right, I always think of this was like yesterday I went shopping. I was thinking that, you go to the other superstore, it's got 3 working wheels on it every time. Rock is he's incredible. I mean, no sex in the champagne room. I probably quote that all the time, but very, very good.
You go to the champagne room a lot? You got time.
No, it's more like the Capricorn, you're going to die. Like, I think we could do a whole rant on me thinking the Zodiac is ridiculous, but it's definitely for me, like Capricorn, you're going to have lunch. Cancer, you're going to go to dinner. I think the Zodiac is absurd.
Insane. It's ridiculous.
I'm going to go through number 6 because I'm on his nuts way too often on this show. It's become a part of my week, if not more, but I told you about Tony Hinchcliffe. I'm assuming you haven't watched anything from him.
No, if you wanted me to watch something, you have to text me a link to it. I'm never going to actually take time to Google it. Send me the link like you did with I Am Batman. Amazing. So, yeah, just shoot it to me in a very digestible, easy fashion.
Tony has his own show. He is easily the best comeback person that you would ever want. I mean, if you're ever in front of him and an audience and he just looks at you, you just smile and nod. He used to write for The Roast. He has his own show that I watch religiously at this point. I think he's very funny. He's one of these upcoming comics. He pushes it a little too far, which I think you'd be like, that was the perfect amount.
I don't know. My 5 is the greatest comeback guy I've ever seen. I've not seen a lot, like personally, but he's old school, and just because I love this kind of comedy. Don Rickles absolutely destroys me. I love insult comedy. There's a world where he's my one. Like, if I came up in a different era, I love mean comedians. I love when they just attack the audience. He is the fastest at just, like, you zing him, he's coming right at you, and he's going for the gold. His scene in Dirty Work, which was totally improv, was beyond good. Just the funniest. Norm couldn't take it. He was laughing so hard, so they wrote that into the movie. He called Norm a baby gorilla. Unbelievable.
Rickles is a legend. I went down a YouTube rabbit hole where I watched an interview with Kevin Pollak, and he was talking.
One of those actors that makes every movie 10% better.
Yeah. Wayne's World 2. I'll be sure to cross my T's and dot all my lowercase J's.
He makes every movie better.
Kevin Pollak's telling a story about how Don Rickles on the set of Casino used to heckle De Niro, where, you have De Niro, who's a legend, and Rickles was just paying like a pit boss or something. And after the scene, Rickles would go and be like, Are you sure? Are you sure that's how you want it? Do you want to do another take of it? Apparently, he would just bust his balls all the time on that, which is hysterical because
during Casino, he was shooting Dirty Work. As he lands to go shoot Dirty Work, he showed up like 3 a.m. He walks up and doesn't even introduce himself to Bob Saget. He goes, I just left Casino for this. I told Marty Scorsese I had to go do a Bob Saget movie. Marty grabbed his chest and he just walked away. That was his intro. He didn't say hello. It's just incredible.
Rickles is good. I think if he was around now or at least a little younger. My number 5, I'm hoping you remember him. He would be legendary at this point. Do you know who Greg Giraldo is?
Yeah.
So Harvard lawyer turned comedian turned roaster whose life was taken too soon. When he was on those roasts, he was fantastic. And he had an album that came out it was called Good Day to Cross a River. And it was a whole rant that still holds up about how, Americans hate how the Mexicans are taking our jobs. And he's like, what, you think they're becoming meteorologists? And he does a whole bit. He's like, it is cloudy. It is muggy. Low visibility. Good day to cross a river. It's the opener. He starts. He's like, "Hello, Springfield, the best place I know." It's like, how do you even say that? Like, how do you know there's not some other place where it's 39 hookers that'll do anything for 5 cents and somebody handing out nickels? I mean, Giraldo was great, absolutely great. I heard Artie tell a story about him that when they got to that roast, Greg Giraldo stands and looks at Artie and goes, "Artie Lang, you fat fuck." Apparently, Artie got roasted so hard on that one dais, but Giraldo was so messed up on like heroin or coke that he was crying, and Artie had to comfort him just to get him to the roast. God. And he had never saw it coming. But Giraldo is one of those, like, for me, taken too soon.
What number are we on? Is it you or is it me? What are we doing here?
4.
My 4, my Gonzaga. I met him. He's funny. He's just quirky as all hell and a hell of a roaster. And he stole Beverly Hills Cop 2. Gilbert Gottfried.
That's your 4?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You said it makes me laugh the hardest. I cry laughing. I cannot stop laughing when he's on. Maybe it's the voice. Maybe it's how he delivers it. He's not a comedic genius in the way that he writes. I laugh harder than anyone. I don't know. He makes me laugh as hard as anyone. He's brilliant.
That's totally fair. He is easily a target of everything, and I've seen him at and they go after him hard. He is a great sport. For a comedian who just eats it. He just eats it.
He's hysterical. I literally, when he's on, cannot stop laughing for the full hour. So I threw him up there as the 4.
Fair enough. My 4 is in the same vein. I've been watching so much like random YouTube clips of Norm Macdonald. He says
I didn't know how to put him on because he's not really a stand-up. That killed me.
Whoa. He's not a stand-up? Are you out?
But his best stuff to me is not his stand-up. It's his
stand-up is not great, but I've seen he just talks, and he's so awkward and uncomfortable. But I've watched so many clips of him where he's just talking about random nothings, and I'm smiling. Just him making a face. If
you ask the greatest talk show guest, he's probably my number 1. Just like the greatest of all time in the chair. But I couldn't rationalize his stand-up being on my list. It didn't bother me.
But when I've heard all these stories about him
today, I kicked myself for it.
And for him, I think the best thing I ever heard that he ever did, which made me laugh hysterical, is he went one time and bombed. And one by one, the audience got up and went towards the door. He went towards the back door, stood there, and shook everybody's hands on the way.
No, for me, if any one of my friends ever asks us to guess something, one of us will go, "You guessed it, Frank Stallone." And it brings the house down every time. Funniest man of the year, you guessed it, Frank Stallone. Always just kills. All right, I had Rodney as my 3. What do you got there?
I had Burr as my 3. On to your 2.
Right. George Carlin. I know it's cliche. I know he's not on your list, which is a shonda. I saw him live once at a beat-up theater in Northampton. Killed. For me, I like angry comedians. There was a world where Louis Black could have made my list too, because he's funny and angry, but he's not that good. But I do like angry comedians. I like that Carlin is just calls it out, tells it like it is. He would be like canceled today, but
so would you.
So would I. But actually, my one wouldn't be, but everybody else on my list probably would be.
My one, I don't think would be.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Carlin is just brilliant. He's fantastically mean, but smart and poignant, and he sort of gets how the world works.
His bits are still relevant today. Most of the stuff he says. Do you know?
Collecting baseball cards, just pictures of men. Brilliant.
Did you ever hear the rumor that he recorded an album 2 days or something? By the way, that's another thing he did, was an album every year, every other year, which is unheard of. It was the weekend before 9/11 that basically said, Americans are so this, somebody should just come hit us with, take us down like a terrorist attack. And then they had to scrap the whole thing, which is a little backstory. I have very few regrets in my life. I was in Vegas. Carlin was at some shitty casino, and I remember being like, I should just go see him live. I should just, and I didn't. I didn't. That was in my life one of my biggest regrets ever.
I saw him by accident. My mom got me and 3 of my idiot friends tickets to this thing at the Calvin Theater in Northampton. She worked for Smith College at the time. She's like, you want to see George Carlin? I'm like, sure. She's like, do you mind sitting in the last row? I go, no, it's free ticket. Whatever, let's go. So we went.
Price is right, baby.
Yeah. Good. So
my number 2 is Chappelle. So we're moving on to your numero uno, which I'm trying to think if I could even guess it.
Yeah, it's not a hard one, and it's not necessarily makes me laugh the most. To me,
I mean, it's obviously Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, he's the most brilliant comedian of my generation. He's filthy, but does it completely cleanly. His jokes are very smart, not too long, timely. He's good at what he does. It's not a coincidence that his show was the greatest most popular of all time at the time. It's not. He's just gets it right. He just gets it right. I've never really seen him bomb. He's very
I saw him bomb.
When?
I think you were at that show.
Maybe he wasn't bomb. It was good.
Seinfeld for me is one of those. If we were doing the best comedians, he is a master. He just doesn't. He doesn't make me laugh out loud. Simple as that.
Misery.
He doesn't. Although I don't think this is his joke, but I watched him on. I think it was him and Norm, and Seinfeld tells a joke. I don't think it's his joke. He just turns. He goes, "So 2 Gentiles are walking down the street, and the one guy says, 'Hey, how's business?' And the other guy goes, 'Pretty good.'" And that's it. And Norm just goes, "Huh?" And Jerry's just laughing because every Jew joke.
Yeah.
Oh, my wife is a. I think Seinfeld said that's his favorite joke, but again, I don't think that's one of his things. That's his Borscht Belt. Seinfeld's very good, and he's going to come up on our other list.
I like Borscht Belty kind of, Jewy humor, Mrs. Maisel stuff.
Where, Zach?
Who's your golden child? What do you got?
My number 1, another one whose life was cut too soon, who most people thought was on drugs all day, every day. I don't think he's funny.
He's not that funny. He was good.
People think this guy was on drugs, and he always said he didn't. He wrote jokes about it. Ultimately died of an overdose 13 days after going to the University of Maryland. Mitch Hedberg, for me, is my number 1 all-time favorite. I give him respect in the him doing a joke. That is impossible as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I could do, you and I joke about a tight 5. I couldn't do a tight 2 where it was just 20 jokes where it's
he's fast. I like fast hit jokes too.
I don't know if you ever listened to him.
He's not bad. He didn't even cross my mind, honestly.
He crossed our listeners' minds, which we'll get to their list, but for him, the one-liners were good, and I held out on it because I didn't want to say it in my honorable mentions, but I also think Stephen Wright, same type of comic.
Not for me. Good and half-baked is the guy on the couch. He's the guy.
His joke that I use this all the time is when people say, "Oh, my buddy's got a trophy wife." I'm like, "Oh, it looks like 3rd place." Gets a laugh, and I have to be like, "All right, it's a Stephen Wright joke." But
it's pretty good.
I worked at a fire hydrant factory. Couldn't park anywhere near that place. He has funny stuff.
He's not bad.
But Mitch Hedberg's every time I get to an escalator that's not working, every time I was like, I like these because they don't break. They just become stairs. His jokes are genius. Everything he says, Kit Kat, great thing to share with friends unless you have 4 people or more. It's just, for me, he kills me. Zach, good list. I have 2 things before we move on. So we had audience participation, and I put something online, and Ron posted some answers online, and people got results from their spouses. I'm going to give you our audience top 10. We had 45 people contribute to this.
That's
45. That was very good. I did a lot of work.
You got a lot of cousins.
Number 10 is Sebastian Maniscalco, who is now just going by Sebastian. Have you ever listened to him? Do you know who he is?
I know who he is. Is that right?
He has some funny bits. He sold out the Garden 4 days in a row. He is massive. He appeals to all the audience.
We have funny bits when it's all the Garden, but funny bits.
I can only listen to him talk so much about stuff because it's everything from like that. You're like, oh my God, I can't. He's number 10. Number 9 was Eddie Murphy, who I talked to Joanne. I was like, it doesn't hold up for me. I know you put them there.
I put him there because I didn't know where else to put him, but he's my honorable.
I know.
He should have been on the list, but he didn't.
Number 8 is because he's an up-and-comer, and this was more people on Instagram. But do you know who Mark Normand is?
I've heard the name. I have no idea who he is.
Super funny guy. I saw him in a tiny, tiny, tiny place where I thought he was hysterical. And I remember going up to him. I was like, dude, I follow you on Instagram. He had 60,000 followers. He's blown up. He does bits. You would find him funny, but I don't think you'd make him... He wouldn't make you laugh out loud, but he's funny. His stuff, his writing is fantastic. Number 7, Mitch Hedberg. Number 6, Chris Rock. Number 5, didn't make either of our lists, and I struggled. Gaffigan.
He's funny. He's just a food comic. He makes fat jokes. I've seen him live a few times at Stand Up for Heroes shows. He's good.
He's big.
Great. He's good. Yeah,
you know that story that I had a patient who was an amateur comic, and I went to his performance because after he does the class, and I paid the money, and I'm sitting there. Gaffigan comes and bumps everybody, does 20 minutes, and makes the ticket worth it.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
It was everything that was in his last Amazon special.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Let's keep this going. Number 4 didn't make either of our lists. Again, this isn't best comics ever, but Richard Pryor.
I haven't seen enough of his stuff. I've seen it, but I wasn't really paying attention. Too young.
I'm with you. Number 3, Seinfeld. Number 2, Carlin. So very true to your list. And then number 1, by a landslide, was Chappelle. By a landslide. It got a 45 people. It was like 13, and nobody else was close.
Wow.
So
I'm too low, I guess.
Those were the consensus picks of our audience. But now I want to we're going to play a little game where you have to say you respect what these people are saying, or you crick your neck. Like,
ow, I actually cricked. Jesus Christ, go on. I got a physical therapist. Does anyone know one? Licensed one? It's not you.
I have a license.
Do you?
In both states. I'm bilingual.
Something like that.
Kara Mbop Hansen said Amy Schumer.
Nah, doesn't do it. Neck crick.
That's a crick in the neck, not respect. And
she's cute in her jokes, but it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, also with all the joke stealing stuff, which is a thing in its own.
Yeah. We
have 2 people, Joe Babe and the Queen of Halloween, Lauren Lolo Felso, says Ali Wong. Have you seen both of her things?
Her things?
Well, the one stand-up she did where she was 9.5 months pregnant.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Pretty funny.
It's all right.
You know she's the Ali character on Big Mouth, right?
Yeah. I know who she is. She's okay.
Okay. So that's respect or crick in the neck?
Somewhere in between. Like, crack my back.
Crack your back.
I'm going to crack it.
Somewhere in between. Adjustment.
Yeah, it's a mild adjustment. She's okay. She's better than Schumer.
Member of the tribe, Little Mike Simon says Gary Goldman.
I don't know who either of those people are.
I
know who Mike Simon is.
You don't know Gary Goldman?
I know who he is. It's all right. Not for me.
He's also one of those, he should be funnier. I've watched his stuff where his last special was more of like it's called The Great Depression, where it's a Judd Apatow documentary kind of about his depression. But he had some great lines. His best one was when he played basketball and he went 0 for high from the line at the JCC.
That's funny.
That's good.
That's good.
Also, Simon will quickly be like, "Do you know his state abbreviation bit?" And I've listened to it. It's funny.
No, if I don't know it, it should be better. It should be bigger.
Zana, that is a combination of Albert and his fiancée, Rosanna, says Kevin Hart.
Yeah. He's okay. He's trying too hard to be everyone else on our list.
Yeah, he also has a lot of writers that work for him, which is why he's always putting stuff out. That hardest working man, I think he could be a preacher. I love listening to anything he has to say. He's very motivational. I don't find him that funny. In movies, he's great, but his stand-up,
but that's written for him. Stand-up should be yours.
Yeah. Samantha and Josh said Gaffigan, so we already kind of talked about him. All right. My Uncle Jeffrey, husband of my Aunt Marlene, said Red Fox. Do you know who that is?
I do. Everyone rates him as so great. I couldn't tell you any of his stand-up. I know he's funny. I know who he is. I've never actually seen a tight hour of his.
So I had to go and watch some clips just to kind of hear some more.
Funny.
So he's the guy who played Sanford on Sanford.
Yeah.
And apparently one of his famous little bits is when he's talking to people and he's like, where are you from? And they say, he goes, oh, I spent 12 days there one weekend. Sound familiar to anybody?
Yeah, Seinfeld stole it, I guess. Spent a month there one night.
Just saying.
Yeah, that was the Seinfeld bit from El Paso.
All right, I won't tell you who said this. I'll just tell you the artist. What are your thoughts on Tiffany Haddish?
I know who said it. She's fanatic. Not Haddish, the person who said it. My little Jewish wife loves Tiffany Haddish. I don't know why. Like her whole "she ready" thing. Jenna finds her to be an American treasure. I don't get it. How she's funny, I guess. She's funny. Funnier than half the people that have just been named. But that's Jenna's Duke. And I don't get it. But Jenna
texted me unprompted and it was like, every time Bad Girls is on, I have to watch it. I was like, yeah, it's my favorite. You know, she's on that Last OG show where, getting back to my beer, Tracy Morgan every time, Shay. It's anytime I hear anything, Shay. All right. We talked one time, my buddy Josh, who lives in Seattle, Friedman, he mentioned,
I like Josh.
He mentioned Nate Bargatze, who we've talked about. And I said, really? In your top whatever? He goes, and they're pumping him a lot online. And that is true. A lot of the people who commented randomly on Instagram, they were promoting Instagram comedians. You know, the ones who, the Brendan Schaub, Andrew Schultz, guys you don't know who, like, they're the big Instagram contingent. So nothing on him. And then I saved the best for last. Ron Katz says Groucho Marx.
He's a genius. Is he a stand-up or is he just like doing Marx Brothers shtick? But like, I don't know because I've never seen him do stand-up. I've seen Marx Brothers movies. They're good. I personally think if you're going to be like old and black and white and Jewish, I'd take the Three Stooges. But
when you said black and white, I was like, which Stooge was black?
The one they don't know. Yeah. God.
All right, Zach. Well, that is our list. You said you had some stuff at the end here.
I mean, I'm watching part of the All-Star Game, and it bothers me fundamentally. Making no transition, no segues. You had segue like 30 times last episode. It
was like 7, and I edited out 4 of them.
We should have gotten bombed. No, put them back in. It bothers me fundamentally that my boy DeGrom isn't playing tonight. It just bothers me when players skip All-Star games. Pitch one inning.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot. He's no problem staying on the field. He's your team. It's an exhibition game.
I'm not saying that he's making the wrong move. It bothers me that when players in general do that. Throw one inning. There's some kid in California that never gets to see him because he's an Angels fan. It's like we want to see Ohtani. Or just there's some kid whose dream it is to see Cedric Mullins. And he's making that dream come true.
Nice drop. I didn't know you knew who he was.
I don't know who he is.
Zach, buy the baseball package. I don't care.
What, to see Cedric Mullins?
No.
To see whenever Mountcastle play?
This is like back in the day with football, is you only got to see the team that played on Monday night.
But this 7-year-old can't see him. His parents are cheap in California. They're not going to buy the baseball package.
And you think watching DeGrom for one inning makes a difference?
Oh, but it's a thrill. It gives that kid a little something.
You're wrong. You're so wrong.
Yeah, I disagree. Also, I don't love the home run derby, though it was exciting watching my guy beat your guy. In general, it's a little monotonous. It's a tad much. I like the basketball skills competition more. For baseball, I'd like to see like maybe longest throw. Let's see like Acuna throw against Bauer, although both seem fairly canceled right now.
Acuna's not canceled. His right ACL is.
He's in trouble. Or like base running challenges or something like that. It just, I don't know. I want to see more. I want to see different things.
Wow. So you want your players to get injured more.
Yeah, from my entertainment.
You're so wrong.
As Gladiator, are you not entertained?
People would be opting out. They wouldn't be doing this.
They shouldn't be allowed to opt out.
But if you want to make a fastest man competition, I would watch that.
Yeah, of course you would. Yeah, absolutely. Or like slowest man. Like catchers run against each other. A flap of the full field. Just let them go.
Could you outrun a catcher?
Which catcher?
A Molina, not Yadier.
I could outrun Yachty at this point. His knees have got to be just shattered. And I thought we were going to do Schmuck of the Week. We didn't. And that's got to go to the British soccer team coach for just trotting that 19-year-old out there to take the last penalty kick. Which, by the way, another thing, I don't like penalty kicks to end a soccer game.
I love them. Love them. I don't want to see. I also watch it.
Play on. That game.
It'll go forever, Zach. It'll go forever.
Let it go forever. You got nowhere to be. That's like ending the Super Bowl with a field goal kicking contest.
Which happens all the time.
A field goal kicking contest? Just place the ball at the 50 and let the two guys just keep
kicking. It's not a contest, but it generally comes down to a field goal or two.
The other guys get a chance to rebut.
Be better defense.
Or you like your there was all defense in that soccer game.
The
World Series ended a home run derby.
We got Trey Mancini. All right.
Yeah, look, you're making the World Series. Let's get real.
We bring Chris Davis back for something
to get paid. He has to hit the ball to hit it out of the park.
I think he can hit a 50-mile-an-hour meatball.
Can he? Strikes out a lot. When he hits it, it goes a mile, though.
I love PKs. It was the best part of the game for me. I completely disagree with you.
I didn't. I don't like it. Let these guys make a fortune. There's no tomorrow. Play on. If it takes till 2 a.m, I got nowhere to be.
Booze your daddy.
Sorry, doing this. I got nowhere to be.
Booze Your Daddy, the podcast. We're doing this thing live on Tuesdays, posting it on Saturdays. Hit subscribe, share it. We had a lot of fun. Download the episodes. Thanks everybody for participating. I know this was good. Sorry if your people didn't end up as high on the list as they should have, but we'll do another one of these in like a month.
People should just be funnier. There's your list.
We out.